Hey team, welcome back to the channel, man. As always, I am stoked to see you. Man, I hope that you guys are doing well and that things are going good in your life. I don't even know what day it is. It's every day is Monday and there's 9 months left. Have you ever said that before, maybe on a combat or operational deployment? If you have, leave some years or locations down in the comments below. Man, I'm looking forward to that. So a lot of times we talk about theories and practice of leadership. But sometimes that's not enough, right? What we need, what we want, what we desire sometimes, I think, is actionable steps, things that we can actually do. Like, quit telling me to lead from the front, Sergeant. Like, I get that. But what can I actually do? What can I do today that's going to make a difference in myself, improve myself as a leader, right? Improve my organization. How can I better take care of the soldiers in my charge and set them up for success? And so that's what we're going to discuss today. In this one, I'm going to give you two no BS actionable things you can do now that's going to help you get promoted to the rank of sergeant or staff sergeant. And it's going to help make sure that your NCOERs, they right themselves, right? Because when that happens, man, from my experience, things just kind of end up taking care of themselves as they should. But we have to do the work. We have to do the hard work on the front end. And some of this is going to come back down to that first general order. Or I'm thinking about the first leadership principle right now in my head. I'm thinking about both, and they both apply, actually, when you think about it. Because you need to know yourself and you need to seek self-improvement. That's our first leadership principle, right? And our first general order, of course, is to take charge of everything within the limits of my post, right? Quit my post only when properly relieved. So when we think about these two things, and we try to flesh them out and put them into action, these are some things that you can do. And I'm going to tell you why these two things are important on the theory side, on the why side of the house, is because that first principle, it forces us to look within, right? We have to look at ourselves. We have to find our weaknesses. And what this principle is trying to tell us to do is this is how you get better, right? Do this first and always, and you will see continual improvement. That first general order says, man, if you do this, if you take, and where's my post? This is my post. When I'm at work, work is my post. When I'm on the road, road is my post. When I'm on walking to the defect, when I'm at the defect, that's my post. When I'm at the barracks, this is my post. Wherever you are, take some dadgum ownership of what you do. But how do we take ownership? So that's what this video particularly is going to be all about. Again, two actionable things that we can put in our kit bag. So the first one, how do we get promoted to sergeant or staff sergeant? Of course, that's a points-based system, right? Which means ultimately that's an individual system to get promoted to sergeant and staff sergeant. Of course, there are some outside influences and some things that are outside of our control, but there's so much in our control that we can do on a day-to-day basis for you to get more points in your kit bag so that you can get promoted. Now, the first thing that you need to do is look at your PPW. I don't care if you're a private. Pull up your promotion points worksheet and look at it. Understand how points are awarded for you to attain the rank of sergeant or staff sergeant. How many points are in each category? That's step number one. Step number two is to see how many points you have in each category. And this is where things change. You see, for a lot of folks, we like to do what we're good at and make that better. And that is a way. But if you're going to try to get promoted, man, that is not going to cut it for you. You have to do something different. You have to dig a little bit deeper. You have to grind. You have to put a little bit more sweat on back. You're going to find when you do that it's really just COP for the soul. So we look at our PPW, and now we're applying that first leadership principle, right? Which is to know ourselves and seek self-improvement. So we're looking at this promotion points worksheet, and we're seeing that, oh my gosh, like I have no schools, so which means I have all these points that I could be getting that I have none. Well, you can't do anything about that except work with your NCO support channel and your training room to try to get into a school. So you can stress about that, but you shouldn't stress about that too much, right? Because you can't go to all the schools. So you look at your PT, you're like, man, I'm pretty good at PT. You know, I'm a specialist, so I can keep taking my PT test. Last time I scored a 275. I think this next time I can score a 300. And if you're really good at PT, that might be the easy approach to do, right? Take what you can do and make it better. But the points difference between a 275 and a 300 is not that much. If, for example, you had 0 correspondence courses, if you look down and you have 0 correspondence courses, that's where you can make your money quickly. In a weekend, you could max out your correspondence courses. Anymore, all you need is like 400. I needed 1,000. It actually took me 2 weekends. But find the areas where you have 0 points, where you have the most room for gain. If you have no college, man, that's 2 points for every hour. Like, top, man, I don't have time to go to college. Well, A, you're probably wrong, especially if you've never done anything online. You can do it. And B, go CLEP out. Like that's one of the biggest secrets, is that the Army will pay for you to CLEP. Test out of that college course, and now all of a sudden you have college credit, and you never even had to attend a course. You didn't have to wait a semester to get those points. So you can study along the way and then go and test out. Like it's super easy. So many points. So if you have 0, that's the most room for improvement on your PPW is where you have 0 points or barely any points. Not where you already have a ton of points and you're just trying to scrap for another 2 or 3. Like, look, man, I get it. If you're trying to chase after, because of your MOS, 600 points, 700 points, every point counts. So scoring that 300 is important. But again, if you have 0 correspondence course hours and you got no college, that is where you will see dynamic room of improvement. And when do we need to start doing these things? It's not after you're promotable. You need to start doing these things when you are a private. Don't wait until you're trying to get promoted. All you're doing is extending your time. You're hurting yourself when you do that. Think about it. For those of you who are out there, had you gotten your promotable status and you already had the points to go to BLC, so you're at the top of the OML, so that very next month you're going to school and you already have enough points because your MOS may be a little bit lower, so you already have enough points to get promoted. Within just a few months of having your promotable status, you're getting after it. That is what you can do right now to help make sure that you get promoted. If that makes sense, friends, leave some comments down below and let me know how many points you have. Where's your biggest room for improvement? We can talk about these things down there, and then just keep that conversation rolling. So I need to talk to you about how to make sure that your NCOERs write themselves. Like, you don't need to be stressing when your annual or a change of raters coming up of how to write, of how to talk story and bullets with your rater. Right? You want to make sure that as you're working on a day-to-day basis that your NCOER is actually writing itself. And how do we do that? So we do that by living the first leadership principle, again, which is to know yourself and seek self-improvement. And we do that by living that first general order, which is to take charge of everything within the limits of my post and quit my post only when properly relieved. When we do these things every day, when we apply them to ourselves, we're going to see that our NCOERs are going to take care of themselves. But how do we actually do that? Like, what are some actionable things? So what I need you to do is to look at your team, right? We're not talking about us as individuals. We're talking about us as a team. Maybe it's a fire team that you have. Maybe it's a squad. Maybe it's a larger section. Maybe it's a platoon. Maybe it's a company. Look at yourself. Talk to your platoon leader, your platoon sergeant. Get a copy of the last quarter's quarterly training brief and understand how your commander assessed you as a TP or U. Where are the weaknesses that your command team thinks that you need to improve on? Listen, if your whole team are experts, man, I think you're pretty lethal. But if your whole team is experts on your individually assigned weapons, but your average PT score was a 215, then the biggest room for improvement is PT. It could be the exact opposite, right? Now, that's just a way to look at it. But you need to look at your inspections. When's the last time that your unit had an ICI or an SCI? And what were the findings? Was the arms room an issue? If it was, then live that first general order. Raise your hand and say, I'm ready to go to the armor's course. And I want to take charge of that arms room. I want to be the guy who kicks weapons back because they're not clean enough. Right? Who doesn't want to live that dream? Man, you can crush souls by just pulling your finger out of the old star chamber and saying, that's not clean. Right? I mean, come on. What are we doing? You know, if you have no MRT in the company and you're constantly having to outsource trainers to come in and train your organization about master resilience training, then raise your hand and go to school. Come back and actually give the courses, the training, and get into DTMS and update your records. Maybe it's equal opportunity or SHARP. Maybe it's the UA program. Everybody's favorite. Everybody wants to be a UA. It's a nice watch you got there. Right? Nobody... Listen to me, friends. Odds are people are coming and going in your organization. And the people who are leaving are the people who have been there for a while. Maybe it's being a licensed examiner for your military driver's training program. Man, that's huge, man. That's critical. Understand where your unit and your team is accepting risk. And say, I want to do something about that. I want to make a process, a product, a way forward so that we can take what we're weak at and we can make it a strength. When you turn a weakness into a strength, when you live that first principle of leadership and you seek improvement to your team, your NCOER is going to write itself because everything that you're doing is an individualistic bullet that you're going to get credit for down the line. Now, I don't want you to work for your NCOER. I want you to work to take care of yourself and your team. Improve your foxhole and the paperwork down the road will take care of itself. But you have to find these things. You have to chase after them, and you have to grind. That may mean you have to go to school. It may mean you have to go TDY. It may mean that you get tasked out to go lead that railroad team, to get everything prepared for that line haul to go down to NTC or JRTC. It may mean that you work some late nights, some early mornings. It may mean that you work through some lunch as you're building these things. But then you create that continuity book. And then you reach out to your left and to your right, and you help out your other companies. Now your impact is not just your company, but it's your entire battalion. Does that make sense? Friends, I'm telling you, this is the easiest way to help make sure that your NCOER has some qualified and quantified quality bullets on it. And what you're going to find when you do this along the way is there's probably a school that you have to go to, right? If some of your mandatory training items like MRT is weak, well, you got to go to school if you don't have it. If you go to school, you get more points if you're a sergeant. That way you can attain the rank of staff sergeant easier. Also, your ERB or your SRB is getting more and more populated, and which is going to show the board further down the line that you've continued to improve yourself. You have institutional knowledge that has been poured into you. I can trust you with matters relating to people if you have courses like ERT, that's a new one that hadn't even been released yet, MRT, EO, and SHARP, right? Those are basic leadership courses. Friends, you need all three of those. So go out and get them. Raise your hands. And again, the folks who were teaching, who was your primary, if they're leaving, that's an opportunity, right? Whereas you may not have been able to get to school before. As soon as that primary leaves, your unit needs a new primary. So be like, before they even leave, say, hey, Sergeant Smith, he's leaving. He was our primary EO. I need to get to school so I can become our primary EO before he's gone, so that you don't have to accept risk on that training and on us as an organization, because I will take charge of this. Man, when you do that, I'm telling you, friends, your NCOER is going to write itself. I hope all this made sense to you, friends. If it did, please leave some comments down below about the things that we can do to help live the first principle of leadership, which is to know yourself and seek self-improvement. Some actionable steps that we can do to take charge of our post. Everything in the limits of it. Because I'm telling you, when you live these two first things, you as a leader is going to improve. And when you empower those in your charge, when you sometimes you got to push them, right? When you pick them up and you take them with you, and be like, hey, these are the things I need you to do. You're going to make them better off too. Looking forward to it, friends. Share this out with a friend or a battle buddy if you think it's going to be some value added to their kit bag. We'll keep this conversation growing and going along. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.